Alright, welcome. Today I want to show you how to install our new Sentry system. The first step is installing the frame, which is part number 814375. So the first step, you're going to take one of these bases and you're going to slide 2 clamps down around. They're 2 3/8 inch clamps. And you're going to put 2 braces on each side. So how you do those is you just take the brace, and they come with carriage bolts, and you'll slide those through. And to start out, you can just put them on hand tight. You'll need a 1/2 inch socket to install them. You'll put 2 on each side. So once your brace is attached at the top, at the bottom, you're going to use 2 plates per brace, and they'll go like this, and you'll use the same carriage bolts and nuts to secure them to the bottom of each brace. And for now, you can just hand tighten everything. The next step, you're going to lay that down on its side, and you're going to grab the 2 3/8 inch pipe with one end swaged, and you're just going to use 3 of them and just insert each one into the next, and they just go right together. And now for the 4th one, you're going to use a 2 3/8 inch pipe, but this one is not swaged at the end. So it's just a straight pipe. Once you have 4 in a row, you're going to take another clamp, the same clamp that you used at the bottom, and you're going to slide that down over the end, over the top, and you're going to just use a cap to keep water from getting into the pipe and install that. Once you have that, you do the other side exactly the same way. And now to attach these 2 pipes, you're going to grab the 1 5/8 pipes, and one end will have a hole in it, and the other end will be swaged, and you will attach that to the clamp that you installed using the same carriage bolt and nut that we've been using. Next, you're going to grab a straight 1 5/8 pipe and then install that to the end. So now everything is installed loose. So now you'll use these Tech screws that we provide, and using a 3/8 inch socket and an impact wrench, you're going to go through and install 2 Tech screws. They're 1 inch long Tech screws. You're going to install 2 at every joint. And on the 2 3/8 inch pipe, one thing to note is that the swaged section is 5 inches long. So you want to space them apart, but you want to be able to make sure that you hit and go through both sections of pipe. It'd be helpful to do one on either side of the pipe. One thing to note when you're working with the 1 5/8 pipe is that the swage length is only 3 inches long, and so your 2 Tech screws are going to have to be closer together. when tightening the carriage bolt nut, it takes a 1/2 inch socket, and you want this top bar to be 15 feet from the ground level. So when you tighten this, this can slide up and down, but tighten it so that it's 15 feet from the bottom. All right, so after installing the Tech screws at every joint and tightening the carriage bolt with the nut at 15 feet off the ground, you're going to want to grab another person and stand the whole unit up. So once you've stood it up, it is important that the posts are 12 feet apart from inside to inside. Once you have that, it is critical that these base plates are secured to solid ground. There's holes in here, and you're going to want to use a 1/2 inch concrete anchor in each hole provided. So 4 on the main plate and 4 in each of the braces. And when you're installing the braces, you want them installed at about a 45-degree angle, and you want the braces 90 degrees apart from each other. So one will go here and one right around there, so that this angle is 90 degrees and this angle is 45 degrees. For a demonstration purpose, we're not going to install concrete anchors and just provide weight on top, but due to wind load, you will want to secure the plates to the ground. So once you've installed the braces in the correct position and connected them to the concrete with the concrete anchors, you're going to go through and tighten all of your carriage bolts and nuts.
So after you assemble the frame, you'll go through the components, which is in 814-215. That includes all the hoses, nozzles, and also the pump and stand assembly with the controller. It's 60 hertz, 230 volt, single phase, and that will be the supply to these components here, which we'll lay out and show you how to do. So here I'm using a channel lock pliers. You can either use channel lock pliers or any sort of plier that will help hold the spring open. And then you'll place it over the hose and then join it with the T. Just gotta use some force to get it in. And then after that, take that and push it up over the barb, and that'll secure it in place. So every intersection with the barb and a hose should be like that, and then you just go up through the line. When you put the spring clamps on, you want to make sure you don't go too far past the hose, but you also want to make sure that you make it onto the barb. That way it's actually secure. So once you have the side assembled, if you aren't using the top kit, you'll want to use one 4.5 inch hose, go on top of the last nozzle, and then on top of that you'll put a plug, and then in both of them spots you'll use spring clamps to secure. So after you have one side laid out, you're going to want to do the same thing on the other side and make it the same exact setup. So after you lay out the sides, you're going to want to lay out the bottom. There's a bunch of different hose lengths here. Some of the larger ones are to go through the ramps. So I'm just going to lay it out and then we can walk through how it should be set up. Attached to the longer sections here, which are 46 inches, are your 4 nozzles that have the 45-degree angle to them. They'll be facing inward towards the ramps. So you just want to make sure that you have those laid out right. So the ramp will be here. You'll have this one facing towards the ramp. And then on this side, you'll have this one facing towards the ramp as well. Once you get into the middle, these are the 2 that are different. These have the flat fan, 80 degrees. So you'll have a couple of spacer sections in here and you'll connect those. With these, for the bottom, you just want to make sure that they're laid out, that they're standing vertical. And then every single attachment should have a spring clamp holding it in place. So I'll go through and set everything up. Before you fasten it to your side of the archway, you just want to connect the bottom and the sides with this T and secure it with the spring clamp here. And then same thing with the other side. Secure it to the T and use the spring clamp to fasten that. Both sides on the bottom of the archway will have a drain valve, and that'll allow it to drain out, helping your lines from freezing when it gets cold. So you want to apply some Teflon tape to the drain valve, and then you have a 1/2 inch barb, and you'll have your female thread that'll attach to this. And then from here, this will just connect to the end of the T, and you'll put this onto here and fasten it down with the spring clamp. To fasten to the side of the arch, you'll want to use these brackets. You just slide one end into the bottom of this here, and then the other end will come in the top of that. And then through this, you want to raise this up and have that from the bottom up and pull that tight, fasten that. With this kit, we provide tech screws, so those would be good for this frame here, but if you're fastening it to a wooden frame, you're going to want to use wood screws to secure. So after you have the sides fastened to the frame and the bottom assembled all together, then your last finished touches are assembling the bottom with the ramps and then this top plate here. So that will set down over, and you want it to be centered on these nozzles here, that you can see those through, and then that these sides are covered by the end of this guard. If this is going to be a permanent thing, you're going to want to tap con these or fasten that with some sort of anchor. I would recommend the tap cons just into some sort of concrete. If it's not concrete, you're going to want to just stake it down. After you have that in place, you're going to want to take the ramps and lay these out. These should go in between these 2 nozzles on the longer section. These flaps just open up, and then you can rest the hose down in, close that, and line it back up, just like that. Same thing on this side. Center it up. And then if you want this to be a permanent system, before you install these hoses, you can insert an anchor, tapcon of some sort into the ground. Side towards the pump, this drain valve assembly is a little different. You're going to need to install one more T as you're heading out towards the pump. In between these two T's should be a 4.5 inch section. You'll install that, secure that down with spring clamps, and then along with that you'll include your drain valve to this T, another 4.5 inch section, and make sure you include spring clamps on that. And then after that, along with the kit, we provide a 20-foot half-inch hose section so that you can have more of a availability with where you want to put your pump. So you'll hook this up to this end here, and then the other end will run to your pump. This hose here, this is our supply line. That will have to be supplied by the customer, but that'll hook up to the inlet. That'd be a 3/4 inside diameter, and then that flows into this water filter, which has a 50 mesh filter inside of it, and then it would follow through to the solenoid, your pressure switch, and then this is the controller here supplying the pump with power. And here we have our outlet. So after you connect everything to the system, the spray arch, then you're going to want to connect to here. So just one more spring clamp. Just like that. So this here is your 1/4 inch inlet to your barbed chemical injection valve here, and then we'll supply a bucket here. You can also run it into a larger tank if preferred, but just to install that, no spring clamps are needed. You just can push that onto the barb just like that, and then you just want to make sure that you have that running and your strainer down underneath the level of whatever your chemical is.